Hi, this is Mustard. Just so you know, the last few episodes we released, we recorded in person, but this one and the next one were both recorded online through Discord. So the audio quality isn't going to be as good. But after book 15, all episodes will be recorded in person with all of us in the same room. So if you don't like how the audio quality sounds when we do it remotely, don't worry, it'll be better in the future. Anyway, enjoy the episode.
Or are we? Should I start recording? I have to test my mic. Hold on. Ma 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 ma. Ma 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 ma. Woo 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 woo. Woo 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 woo. Okay, good. Let's continue.
Okay, I'm recording now.
Hello, welcome to the podcast. This is an Animorphs book club podcast. We read the Animorphs and talk about the Animorphs. I haven't read the Animorphs except the books that I've read for this podcast.
I've read them all. I read them all when I was 12 years old, maybe younger. It was like age 10 to 12. I read them all. And now I'm reading them again. And now I'm not 10 to 12. Now I'm older than that. Isn't that cool?
I'm very excited to discuss this book.
All right. Well, let's just let's get right to it then. My name
Introductions.
My name is Mr. B Natural.
I'm better.
I'm Mustard.
I'm Stir.
Okay, so this is an Animorphs book club podcast, and we read book 14, and I'm gonna summarize it quick, and then we're gonna talk about it.
Book 14, The Unknown.
Yes, book 14, The Unknown. So this book is narrated by Cassie. She owns 2 barrels of poop.
She what?
I said she owns 2 pairs of poops.
She owns two bears of poop.
She owns. So this book is narrated by Cassie. She owns 2 bears of boot. I almost just said it wrong.
What are you trying to say? I can't tell.
Okay, Mustard, how about you just say she owns 2 of, and I will fill in the blanks, okay?
She owns 2 of
pairs
of
boots.
Oh, okay.
This book is narrated by Cassie. She owns 2 pairs of
boots. Oh, wait, what?
I'm just gonna start over. So we read. Never mind. This book is narrated by Cassie. She owns 2 pairs of boots that are covered in poop. The first scene is Cassie and Rachel arguing about fashion. Cassie's dad comes in and says that Crazy Helen called about a sick horse. So Cassie and Rachel come with him to the dry lands to check it out. They find the horse, and it looks like it's trying to dial a payphone with a stick in its mouth. And then they're pretty sure that they see a Yeerk fall out of its head. I mean, Cassie and Rachel are. Her dad doesn't notice, of course. And then suddenly they get hit by a Dracon beam, and they wake up in Helen's souvenir shop. Cassie's dad says that the explosion that knocked them out was probably something from the military base nearby. Helen says it was aliens from Zone 91, which is the name of the military base, and it's like this book's version of Area 51, basically. So then the next chapter, Cassie goes to school wearing new clothes that Rachel bought for her, and it doesn't really go anywhere. Then the Animorphs have a meeting, and everyone except Jake and Axe fly to the drylands to check out the horses because Cassie told them about it. But then they accidentally unmorph in the military base area, and they get stopped by a guard. And the guy's suspicious that they don't have shoes on, so he brings them in for questioning. And Marco keeps asking about aliens, and the guy gets mad. And while this is happening, Cassie notices a sign-up sheet on the wall that says a bunch of Zone 91 members will be at the Gardens the next day. The Gardens is at the zoo/amusement park that Cassie's mom works at or whatever. So the guy asks the kids to write down their names and phone numbers because he wants to contact the parents. Then they all just write fake names and numbers and stuff, and they morph into cockroaches and escape. Then they see the horses, and they look normal. One of them poops, and Marco giggles about it. But then the horse gets embarrassed and hides behind a bush to continue pooping. That's when the Animorphs realize it's not a normal horse. It must have a Yeerk inside it. So they decide to acquire horses so they can spy on these horse controllers. So they sneak into a horse stall at a racetrack nearby. While they're there, some shenanigans happen, and Cassie accidentally joins the race morphed as a horse, and she wins. Once they all acquire horses, they go back to the dry lands again and follow the horse controllers. This time, there are some normal horses there too, because horses are herd animals. The controller horses manage to sneak into the most secure part of Zone 91 somehow, and the Animorphs follow. They're able to see the most well-kept secret in the world, but the Yeerks aren't sure what it is. So all the horses leave Zone 91, and Visser Three shows up and asks if the mission's complete. Then he's like, hey, what are these normal horses doing here? They could be Andalite bandits, kill them. Then Cassie poops, and Visser Three laughs, and then the Animorphs escape. Before they escape, Visser Three mentions that since they don't know what the thing in Zone 91 is, they'll have to do Plan B, which was taking control of some of the humans at Zone 91 to get more power. Then Axe tells them that the thing that Zone 91 was keeping secret is an old Andalite toilet. Then Cassie goes home, and her parents are mad at her, so they start talking to her about sex just to embarrass her. The next day, Cassie brings up the sign-up sheet that she saw in the military base. Since a bunch of Zone 91 members will be at the gardens, they think maybe the Yeerks will try to take control of them there. So they go to the gardens looking for Visser 3 and stuff, but when they're there, the military captain guy who caught them in Zone 91 sees them, and he starts chasing them around the park, threatening to arrest them. They go inside the House of Horrors ride, where they find Visser 3 and some pork bajir, and the Animorphs morph into big animals to fight them, but everyone watching thinks that they're just part of the ride. Then Visser 3 takes the captain guy and starts dragging him around the park trying to kidnap him, but no one thinks it's weird because there happens to be a parade going on at the moment. So there are a bunch of people in costumes and stuff. Then the Animorphs save the captain or something, and Visser 3 flies away in a spaceship at the end.
Did you say that the place they went to get horses was a Kentucky Derby style horse race area?
Said
Yeah.
they went to a
It was a
racetrack.
racetrack.
Or I hear racetrack and I think NASCAR.
Why would there be horses at a NASCAR racetrack?
Well, that's
Well, Cassie morphs into a horse and wins a race.
This book would have been better if the Yeerks were infesting race cars and then the Animorphs had to morph race cars. It was like, what's with these extra race cars hanging out with you guys? Then Cassie's like, oh boy, I better do what race cars do and not be modest about it. And then she race car poops, and then Visser 3 is like, that must be a real race car after all.
Yeah.
I would have preferred that book.
She leaks oil on Visser 3's shoes.
What if they could morph like vehicles? Like
That
race
would
Maybe
be
they
pretty
can.
epic. I would love that.
It would just morph into spaceships and then like incinerate stuff.
They could
Guys,
morph
why are we
into
talking
Dracon
about
beams.
something other than this book?
This is this book.
This is a better version of this book.
This book was really weird, guys.
This
It
book was
was.
so weird.
There was lots of poop humor.
In a way, this book was kind of like what I expected Animorphs to be, because it was just like really silly and like, you know, like poop humor. Like that's like something that most children's authors would probably write a lot of to pander to their audience.
So many important parts of the plot were about poop.
Yeah, this seems to be way more than any other book I've read.
Yeah.
Guys, I technically read this book 3 times.
Why?
Well, because I listened
Because he
to the
just
audio
loved it
book.
so much.
No, I listened to the audiobook and I finished like 3 days before anyone else did. And I was like, well, might as well listen to it again. So I listened to it at like 3 times speed. And then the next day I had to like help paint a gazebo. And I was like, well, might as well listen to the book again when I'm doing this. I have nothing better to listen to.
You really had nothing better
In that
to do.
situation, and I really wanted to listen to Animorphs, I think I would just start listening to the next book.
Well, I had to write the summary, you know.
Hey, I don't think we should listen to books ahead of schedule because I don't know.
They might accidentally bring it up.
I
Yeah.
get confused enough, you know, editing past episodes and also reading the book. I think going ahead and having 3 books in my head is gonna confuse me.
I mean, I like reading these books, but I wouldn't read them more than once.
Well, I was just listening to it. Well, like I wasn't reading. I was listening to it and taking notes, and
This book
it was
was
mindless.
I don't hate that. Whatever. I just kind of want to. I read this book and I'm like, well, I'm done reading that. Moving on to the next one. It didn't really. I don't think it leaves much of an impression on me. The more I think about it, the more I want to not think about it.
This book had good scenes.
No,
Not any better scenes than any other book that I can think
This
of.
was such a left turn from the last book.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
these 2 books couldn't be more different.
yeah. Okay, I thought it was funny when Cassie's just like the stupid character in this book. Like
Yeah.
it's
This
not
book was
like-
very similar to Jingle Bells.
No, I was just gonna say Jingle Bells book 12 was like Rachel just being like a sociopath and just very annoyingly stupid, but this book was just like Cassie was just doing little stupid things that like the stupid character in a kids show would do. Like it's like they were trying to make Cassie the stupid character here. Like when one part of this book I did think was funny when they were being questioned by the dude And then Marco was like, I just gave him the phone number for Pizza Hut delivery. And Rachel's like, I just gave him some random phone number. And then Cassie's like, I just wrote down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
That was funny.
8.
That to me was
8.
infuriating.
8 numbers.
Like, how can you be so foolish?
She was stressed out. I don't know.
She was
But yeah, that's
stressed out.
ridiculous.
All of them were stressed
This whole
out.
scene
just as
was
much as
this
she
whole
was.
scene though. It was just what the heck.
And then like Marco kept like doing like cover up lies, and then she kept like just
Undermining
canceling
them.
what he was saying,
Yeah.
and then just making him more suspicious. Like, just go with it. Jeez, Cassie.
Well, and then Marco and Rachel tell them that their names are Fox Mulder and Dana Scully.
Those are apparently X-Files characters.
What do you mean
Yeah,
apparently? Was that
They
not
are.
obvious to you guys?
I
I've
don't
never
know
watched
X-Files
X-Files.
characters.
At that point, I was very like, how would the guy that they're talking to not know those characters' names? But then I was like, if I bring that up during the podcast, you guys are all just gonna be like, oh, I never watched X-Files. To me, that part seemed really dumb because I was like, well, obviously they're fake names. How would he not see through that? But I guess
I mean, they definitely sound like fake names, but I didn't know what they were from until Cassie was like, "Oh, I just wrote down Cindy Crawford because I don't watch X-Files."
Well, the thing is, I know the X-File names, but I have no idea who Cindy Crawford is.
What? She made Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Every guy in America knows Cindy Crawford, according to Marco.
No, that's Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, what is it? Hang on, who's Cindy Crawford?
Yeah, Cindy
then?
Crawford is an actress.
Okay, well, no one's real name is Cindy.
Okay, well, Crawford rhymes with Laupner or whatever, so
Yeah.
I get a pass on that one.
I just thought it was pretty funny that Rachel and Marco were yelling at Cassie for using Cindy Crawford when to me the names they used were even more obvious, especially considering these are like FBI guys who like would probably be nerds for X-Files and that kind of stuff anyway. And I'm later proven
Right.
they used the term Gondor Industries for their cover-up job.
Okay, I didn't get that reference.
Can you explain what that means?
I heard Gondor and I was like, oh, that's from Lord of the Rings, isn't it? And I looked it up and I was like, oh yeah, I'm right. They're totally nerds who would know X-Files names.
I don't think X-Files is a nerdy thing. I think it's just like a action thing.
It's a nerdy thing.
I don't know. I had the feeling that it was like really popular in the 90s, like it was mainstream.
Well, yeah, but so is Lord of the Rings is also mainstream.
Not mainstream enough that people would know Gondor. See, I read the Lord of the Rings books and I didn't recognize Gondor.
Why are we not talking about this incredible book, guys?
We are. We were just talking about this ridiculousness.
I don't know if I even have that much to say about this.
I have so much to say about this book.
I have no desire to. I don't see any reason to go in order for this book because honestly,
do Cassie's gloves have semen on them? That's my first note.
Yeah.
What?
Hold on, where are you?
Impression.
In like the first chapter, it says she has boots covered with mud and various types of animal poops. I also have a couple of nice pairs of rubber gloves. You don't even want to know what's all over them.
Oh, so your brain just went to semen?
Animal semen for inseminating cows and stuff, yeah.
No, I know what it's meant by that, but my brain didn't. I was just like, is she talking about poop?
The previous sentence says she has boots covered in poop, so why would she not just say poop again?
That's why I was confused. My note for that was poop with a question mark.
No, it's probably
I don't really think that, like, my brain just did not think that Applegate would really make a reference to cum in her child book.
I'm not convinced that it's semen.
Cassie says they're a nice pair of rubber gloves. So these are the things she uses for the more classy things.
I don't know if Cassie's dad would really be like, okay, Cassie, I've got to artificially inseminate a cow. You want to help?
Well, she gives like raccoons like suppositories and stuff.
Also, is that something that they do at the wildlife rehabilitation clinic?
Yeah, I realized that afterwards. I was like, oh, this isn't a farm though. This is a veterinary. So my second thought was like maybe it's like birthing, like vagina fluid, or maybe it could be blood,
like
maybe.
placenta.
So that makes more sense, I think. After I thought about it,
that would make sense.
Yeah, I think so too.
But yeah, that was just my first note.
Cassie spends most of this first page just saying, "Oh, I don't care about fashion," over and over and over again. And it makes me wonder about her. Like, why does she?
Because she won't shut up about how much she doesn't like fashion. It's so weird. Like, stop talking about fashion if you don't like to talk about fashion, Cassie.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that Rachel is so like I'm surprised by how much she wants Cassie to get into fashion.
Yeah, so the reason this whole thing starts is because Cassie's like, "Hey Rachel, if you come to look at this horse with my dad, I'll let you buy me some clothes." And then like nothing really happens from that because like in one of the chapters is just they go to school.
There's a
and
whole
then-
chapter where they go to school and then Marco gets paid to compliment Cassie, so that was the climactic resolution to that whole story arc, and it was beautiful, and it was the best.
I love that chapter. That chapter is probably my favorite part of the whole book.
It was the
What?
best
Why?
storyline in the book.
Because it was silly and ridiculous, and it was just the dumbest thing ever, and it made me laugh.
Yeah, like guys kept going up and saying, "Oh, hey Rachel, hey Carson, what's going on?" And then some guy was like, "Oh, Cassie, something different about you." And she was like, "Oh, my new outfit." And he was like, "No, you gained weight. Have you been trying to bulk up?" And then he just like walks away. It was really weird.
It was weird.
Oh, okay. All you people are way ahead of me.
Yeah, we keep skipping around for
We
this
have like
one.
nothing to say about this.
I had
book
never note
generally, I
that
don't know.
This book doesn't matter. Nobody. I don't care if we're out of order for this book. Just say whatever you want.
every time Cassie talks about what she does with the animals, she says, "I give them their meds, their medication." She like is meds not common term for medication?
Apple
Oh yeah,
was
we brought
actually-
this up last time there was a Cassie book.
Yeah, and she brought it up again.
This is actually in the first book.
Oh. Not the last Cassie book, but this has been brought up before.
Yeah, I think it was in like book 1 or 2.
I'm like, why did you just say medications? Why do you gotta flex on us with your cool medical lingo?
I'm so smart, guys. I say medication so much that I just say meds.
Anyway, so you brought up Marco complimenting her, and I want to read that part because I think it's funny. So she just like sits down in her
Please do.
seat, and she's like looking for homework. And then Marco is 2 rows over, and he like leaps over one of the rows of desks. He's like, "No, it can't be. Who is this vision of loveliness? Who is this fantasy come true? Excuse me, but are you Tyra Banks? No, you can't be any mortal girl. So much perfection could never be achieved by a mere human. You're an angel descended from heaven. I mean, they say clothes make the man, but these clothes make you an angel." And then Cassie asks what Rachel paid him, and he says $2. Girls are such idiots sometimes. I'd have done it for $1. And that's the end of the school chapter. It just moves on after that.
You could have completely skipped this chapter, and you would have lost nothing in terms of like the quote A plot of this book.
Yeah, this book had like 3 different chapters that were just them morphing into birds and then flying around. Just like, why? Why was that
So that they can
necessary?
get captured and have wacky antics.
No, but you can just say they flew. You don't have to like describe them morphing and flying for like a full chapter.
Yes, you do, because this could be the only Animorphs book somebody reads. And then they got to get the whole Animorphs experience, TM, including the morphing birds, including the shrinking and being like, "Oh my god, it was like falling," and then the morphing birds, and then the having a meeting, and then the Visser Three shows up for no reason, and then the end. Absolutely, totally necessary.
Visser Three did show up for no reason.
Why was he in an amusement park ride? Visser Three, what are you doing there? Why? Why are you in the House of Horrors?
Your audio is kind of cutting out because you're yelling so loudly.
Yeah, I just wrote why.
I just want to say I was really happy when they were at the mall together and Human Tobias was there.
Yeah. Although the way that she described how like what his situation is was kind of like made me think, are they gonna go over that whole thing every single book now?
Yeah, probably.
Tobias is a hawk, but Tobias started out as a human, but then he got stuck as a hawk. But then an interdimensional being made it so that he can sometimes turn back into a human again. But his hawk is his true form now. Like it really downgrades what happened in the last book. Like it makes what happened in the last book sound kind of silly, just the way that it's described now.
Well, that's how Being Natural saw it. I think she was like, "Oh yeah, this is just the book where Tobias gets the morphin powers back." Like,
What? No, I mean I loved that book. That was a great
I
book.
know, but it wasn't as like significant to you.
Well, no, it was. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway, Marco, you're wrong about me.
Yeah. No, I didn't say you don't like it. It's just you were just like, "Oh yeah, I got this book," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's a book where Tobias gets his morphin powers back."
I think when I was saying that, my point was that I don't remember that book being like cool. I just remember it as being the one where he gets his morphing power back. I didn't bother remembering anything else about it the first time I read it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Marco reminds me of you, Mustard, in this book because he says, I think I like you better as a chicken, Tobias. And then Tobias says, I'm a red-tailed hawk. And then Marco says, chicken, pigeon, hawk, whatever.
That's a very mustard thing to say.
Yeah, one of my notes was, see, Marco knows all birds are the same. You know
And
what's up.
imagine if Tobias was a chicken.
That would really suck.
Do you want to talk about the part where they're in the horse stall? Because I think that was my favorite scene.
Axe didn't even need to be there. This whole thing happened because Axe came along for no reason.
So what happened is they went to the horse stall as birds, and then they were like, okay, we all have to demorph so we can acquire these horses. But then they were like, oops, that's right, Axe is with us. That's gonna be suspicious. And then these two guys walk in. One of them has a cigar, and they're like, hey, what are you kids doing in there? And Axe's upper body is like, you can't see it. It's like
Isn't this like
stuffing or
half a book
something.
ahead of where we are?
It doesn't matter.
This book
really
doesn't matter.
What? Okay, it says all the people who gave it a mare.
Yeah, it means it doesn't matter.
I didn't hate this book. It just didn't. It just.
It really doesn't matter what point of the book we start talking about. The plot will make just as much sense no matter what order we put it in.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I plan on
I mean,
going
that's
back
the
a
whole
little
point
bit.
of putting the summary at the beginning, right? Is just so that we don't have to go plot point by plot point.
Yeah.
I might be more open to going out of order because I actually know like everything that happens in this book because I read it 3 times.
I'm totally open to it because I don't care about this book.
Yeah,
I really like this part because they just see this blue lower half of Axe, and they're like, that's pretty small for a horse. What are you guys feeding that? And then Marco's like, oh yeah, horse food. We feed him tons of horse food. Open up cans of horse food and feed him the horse food.
I knew you'd like that part.
And then Cassie's like, no, we don't feed him horse food from cans. We feed him hay, like you'd feed any horse. See, Marco's joking. And then the guy's just like, your horse is blue. Never seen a blue horse before. And also at this point, they're like half morphed into birds still, so they have like feathers on their faces and stuff.
And then Cassie, the only thing Cassie can come up with for that, she says, "We like blue horses." and then Jake says, "Someday all horses."
All horses will be blue.
It's so poignant.
And like, you kids, and then they like get mad at them, and then
they're like, "That ain't right."
Red no horse should be blue.
Yeah, later they're like, catch those kids. Who knows what they'll do? They turned one of the horses blue. They're like chasing them or something.
What are they
I don't
doing? The
know.
horses turn them blue.
There's this part where Cassie, the moral compass of the group, everyone says, "I didn't want to kick this guy because he was just an innocent guy." And then the guy grabs her, and then he says, "I got this guy." And then she's like, "What? He thinks I'm a guy? Now I want to kick him."
Yeah, that's really weird.
She's a character who uses the term idiot horse urge to describe what horses want to do, and she's just kicking people for no reason. And like hearing.
Excuse me, not for no reason. This guy thought she was a boy. That's unexcusable.
Oh, okay.
Totally just you have to.
She's also the person who read 1800 hours on a sign, and instead of saying, "Oh, it's at 1800 military time," she said, "Oh, that's minus 11, right? Hey guys, it's at 7 o'clock, guys."
8 o'clock.
No, she said it was at 8 o'clock.
She said it was at 8.
Yes, because 1800. That's 8 o'clock, right?
No. She did minus 11.
She did. So she thought it was
She thought it was 9.
Yeah.
No, she thought it was 8.
She thought it was 8, and it was 1900 hours, and she thought it was 8, but it was actually 7.
Okay, it's confusing me because she's doing wrong math, and the actual thing is 12. And
I don't know why she saw the poster said 1900 hours, and then she just told everyone, guys, it's at 8 o'clock, instead of just saying what she saw. And then when they got to the park at 8, she was like, yeah, 1900 hours, that's 8, right? And they were like, no?
all you had to do was tell them it said 1900 hours.
Yeah, like if you don't know how to be military time, just have someone else translate it. That's like the end of the book, by the way. That's like that's the time of the when they go to the freaking amusement park or whatever.
Can we talk about before we move on? There's one part that I wanted to talk about.
I still have like 5 sections like before what we were here before the horse race.
Well, yeah. I just wanted to say there's this part at the beginning. Like this part's at the beginning of the book where Rachel and Cassie and Cassie's dad are all like walking around and they see the weird horse with the Yeerk in it, but Cassie's dad doesn't see it. And then there's just an explosion, and then it turns out like there was an explosion and it knocked them all out, or at least knocked Cassie out. and then they all almost died, but then they went to Crazy Helen's house, and then Cassie's dad is like, we're on the edge of an Air Force facility. They're probably just dropping missiles on us. Whatever.
No, they're not. He didn't say they're dropping missiles. He said that they accidentally like left a missile sitting out or something, and then the horse like activated it by walking over it or something.
Oh well, these things happen. Oh well, let's just go home now. Seems like a big deal. You guys almost died.
They didn't die though. I think I've added Cassie's parents to my list of favorite characters, along with Principal Chapman and Tom.
Well, but they didn't do anything awesome.
Yeah, they did. They did the whole embarrassing Cassie thing. It was funny.
Oh god,
that scene was so weird.
The scene was so weird.
Scene.
I guess we'll talk about that scene now.
In this book.
Yeah, it was a whole chapter that was in the book for no reason. Because what happens is Cassie comes home and they're like, "Hey, Cassie, you're home late." And she's like, "Oh, I was hanging out with Jake and Rachel." And they're like, "Jake? What did we talk? We told you about dating. Do we need to talk about the birds and the bees again, Cassie?" And she gets all embarrassed. And then she like goes to her room after they like talk about it for like 2 minutes to embarrass her. And then she overhears them talking like, "Oh man, we got her. She's such a good girl. We can't punish her, so we just have to embarrass her instead."
Well, the reason I can't punish her is because she already does all her homework. She's already like a good kid, and if they made her do a bunch of work, she'd just do it happily. So punishments wouldn't even be punishments.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, as a backup plan, we could threaten to take her to Father Banyan for a family discussion about intimacy. And then Cassie overhears that, and she's like, "Wait a minute, backup plan? Didn't Visser Three say the words backup plan?" And that's how she realizes, like, oh man, what if the Yeerks go to the amusement park tomorrow? Like, this chapter was here so Cassie could hear the words backup plan and remember that Visser Three said it. Like, it was so pointless.
No, it introduces Chastity's parents. We haven't seen them before.
Yeah, we have.
But not much. Oh no.
Cassie's dad makes chili.
Yes, man. Chastity's dad is great.
What's so great about making chili?
No, but it's the
He's
way
not
he
sacrificing himself for his daughter or anything.
No, but he presented it in a way that really sold the chili, and he
presented it in a way that made me really annoyed.
He had me convinced that his chili was some of the best I might have, and if I went to his house and ate his chili, I would say
he had me convinced that he was like one of the most smart alecky, arrogant, obnoxious people ever.
Maybe he's definitely obnoxious, definitely.
I'm just looking at this, but I'm just looking at this chapter, and I see we had done some very important things as Animorphs. We had fought some terrible and vital battles. This wasn't one of them.
Yep.
That should be the tagline for this book. Instead of never underestimate the power of a morph.
Oh, that reminds me of a quote that I thought summed up this book pretty well. I have to find it though.
Okay, I'll just talk about music. Marco liked ZZ Top, and Cassie's dad liked Stevie Wonder.
Does anyone have anything to say about like the crazy, or I don't know. We can just keep jumping around, whatever.
Be natural. I want you to read the onomatopoeia that is used on page 30 of this book.
Okay.
Okay, I thought the onomatopoeia in this book was very crazy. Like, it actually caught my attention as to how weird it was.
Plop, 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 plop.
The horse began doing what horses do, if you know what I mean. That horse is taking a dump, Marco whispered.
Thanks for pointing that out, Beavis, Rachel said. We wouldn't have noticed without you.
Horse patties, prairie pies.
That does it. I'm not sharing a bush with...
What is this? This scene.
Is that what horses taking a dump, as Marco puts it, sounds like? Plop, 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 plop!
In all caps.
In all caps with exclamation points. It's so loud. I don't think that's what it sounds like.
This is an important part of the plot, because this is after the horse poops. That's when they realize that the Yeerks, because it's modest.
Like, isn't it a quiet noise?
I don't know what it sounds like when horses poop. I don't know. Ask Cassie, she did it.
I think I've seen horses poop before, and it wasn't something
I've
loud.
seen horses in a parade poop.
And
it,
what did it sound
it did not seem that loud.
Listen, it wouldn't have had the same effect if it had just been written in lowercase.
Watching horses poop is more of a visual experience than an auditory experience.
Maybe plop was a visual onomatopoeia.
Yeah.
So it's visually assertive instead of audibly with the all caps.
Yeah.
It's just Capelgate wanted to avoid having to graphically describe feces exiting a horse's anus.
I mean, I think it makes it clear that everyone noticed it because it's in all caps, and everyone sees the horse's poop coming out.
It's like the whole room went silent. Everyone went silent as that happened. That's why. It's all the horses stopped. The horses were like freaking talking out loud with their mouths in English. I mean, in alien language. And then everyone just stopped as soon as the horse started pooping.
You know what I realized? There's a part. Visser Three is like, "Hey, kill these guys," and then Cassie poops, and then he's like, I guess it really is a horse and not Andalite bandits. Whatever, kill them anyway." So she literally just had Cassie poop just because she wanted that in the book. It didn't, it didn't lead to anything. She just pooped.
I was
Yeah.
shocked that the book didn't end with like human Cassie pooping or something like that. I was like, okay, is this gonna go full circle? I really hope it doesn't.
Oh, that brings up some interesting stuff about how digestion works when you're morphed.
Oh yeah, because they pooped.
I don't think I want to get into that.
They ate when
though.
they were horses, though. Did they?
No, they didn't.
It certainly takes more than 2 hours for grass to go from the beginning of a horse's digestion to the end.
Yeah, so I guess that was like whatever Cassie ate. I don't know.
Yeah.
Doesn't it say like 2 seconds before that she takes a bite out of grass?
Yeah, but that's 2
seconds.
seconds. That's not.
Well, I thought that implied that that was the grass being digested. Because otherwise, I was confused as to why she was eating it.
Here's the thing: since these morphs are made from DNA, maybe this is like a fresh, clean horse body, so it just slipped right through. It had nothing.
It was like a slide in the intestines.
Ew.
Anyway, I was under the impression that she ate the grass just because that's what horses do.
Okay.
Yes. I don't think.
So yeah, Axe apparently Andalites poop because they use toilets. That's the big secret of Zone 91.
Maybe they just leak out of their eyelids. Maybe they just cry into it. All he said was waste.
Oh, I mean, if Andalites, maybe, I mean, have Andalites ever been mentioned as eating out of their back hooves? Like, maybe they eat out of their front hooves and then they poop out of their back hooves.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, like didn't Visser like dip his front hoof into the water to drink it?
Yeah. I don't think they mentioned using their back hooves.
Someone mentioned having dung on the hooves, so it would make sense that you wouldn't want to
It's
taste.
like having toilet paper stuck to your butt.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Zone 91 and how it's weird that they just ripped off Area 51? I get why they didn't say Area 51 because then everyone would know where the Animorphs live is in Nevada. But this is a different place. This is Zone 91.
Implying
so-
that like Zone 91 is a well-known thing. Like Zone 91 is as well known as Area 51.
Yeah.
Well, they did change names, as in every book. I'm wondering if maybe they said it's more famous than it is to throw them off.
Oh, maybe.
If they wanted to throw them off, then they should have just said Area 51. Why disguise it as Zone 91 in that case?
That's a really good point. And I don't have an answer because they're dumb. They're dumb kids. These kids are dumb.
This book is a dumb book.
I think that
Zone 91. What a stupid name.
I just think, okay, it is my opinion that the Animorphs, besides Tobias, are dumb. Period.
Well, I mean, in this book, they certainly were because they did that thing that I thought they'd learn not to do, which was have every single one of them morph a horse and then tag along with the Yeerks instead of having anybody be backup.
Except Tobias. Was Tobias a horse or no?
He was a horse.
Oh, he was a horse.
It really added nothing to the scene.
Good thing you got your morphing power back so you could be a horse with the rest of us.
I like the part where when they're in the horse stall and they're like the guys are like chasing them and stuff because they have a blue horse. Tobias comes over and he's like, "I'll leave you guys alone for 2 minutes, and what have you done?" And they're just being chased by these guys who are like, "Oh, it's not right that my horse should be blue." So I like Tobias just like yelling at them for getting into trouble.
Yeah, I like him being like the parent figure to them. They're like the one who's sensible. One who's got to take care of the rest of them.
This book has a Animorphs meeting. This book has an Animorphs meeting chapter 11.
Okay. The Animorphs were about to just waltz on out in front of the horse controllers too. The Animorphs were just about to walk out of their hiding spot in front of the horse controllers because they thought they were normal horses. But the only reason that they noticed that they realized that they're not normal horses is because the horse poops and then gets modest about it. So If this horse hadn't decided to poop just then, they would have all exposed themselves in front of the Yeerks.
Yeah, like I said, poop is a very important part of this book's plot. Like,
Thus, the poop is a very important part of the Animorphs mythos.
in like multiple different parts of this book, like, man.
Without poop, they would be dead.
Yes. Anyway, Animorphs meeting. In the meeting, as usual, Axe just asks a random question, but this time, instead of ignoring them, Rachel just gives a very simple answer and then changes the subject. They're just talking about horses, and Axe just says horses, horses. Marco says, "Is that it, or was there more to your comment?" And Axe says, "Horses are quadrupeds, much more sensible than walking around perched on two rickety legs like humans do." Rickety. Rickety. Is that a funny word? And Rachel says, "Yeah, rickety is hysterical." So where do you find these 6 different horses for us to morph? And that's it.
And she was being sarcastic too. She wasn't even being genuine
What?
there.
Oh, she wasn't?
I assumed it was sarcasm when she said yes.
Oh, I think rickety is a funny word.
Well,
Okay.
that's very subjective. I mean, why would Axe have to ask about that? It's funny if he thinks it's funny.
Yeah, it is.
It's not necessarily not funny if, he doesn't think it's funny.
He needs to know what regular human funny is. Otherwise, it'll seem weird when he laughs at different words. That, like, if you just laughed the word "the."
But to me, it doesn't seem that Axe is terribly preoccupied with appearing as a normal human.
That's true.
I
Which
think he
is something
wants.
that really annoys me about him.
I think he tries.
If he tries, he wouldn't be crawling on the floor in the movie theater when everyone else is
That's when
clearly
there's
not
food.
doing
He
that.
loses control when there's food. It's not
Okay,
because he's
that's
not
fair, I
trying to
guess.
do it.
Okay.
So it's an uncontrollable biological urge.
Yeah, of course.
That doesn't make any sense because he's morphed as a human. Is it the human urge to just run at food and lose control like a taxon?
Well, no, but he sees food, and it's a combination of wanting to eat food and having this new
Axe is on a
sensation of not having.
seafood diet. He sees food and he eats it.
He is.
Good one. Oh, I need to get my joke book. What's my joke book?
I didn't come up with that, by the way.
My 8th grade teacher has said that a lot.
I don't know what my joke book is. I'm gonna mute
Oh.
myself and look for my joke book while you guys. I'll say stuff if I have anything to say.
Okay. Rachel bets on a horse race. She puts in $2 and gets $3.
Yeah, and Cassie's like, the things you know about a person. Jeez.
Yeah, so that made me think that in that area, or at least in Cassie's household, gambling is seen as generally something that's like unusual, or maybe even considered immoral. So it made me think that maybe some types of gambling are illegal in their state, with horse gambling being the exception, which is actually really common. And it does include South Carolina, which is where we thought they lived. So in South Carolina, betting on horse racing is legal. Other sports betting is illegal. And the only other legal type of gambling is like registered casinos.
Hmm.
So if we want to guess where they're from, maybe Cassie's reaction to gambling could be a tale towards that.
Hey, Stir, you like music? What song does lyric "She's got legs, she knows how to use them" from?
I actually just looked that up, but it's a ZZ Top song. I'm not really a ZZ Top fan.
Is that where you find out that Marco likes ZZ Top?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Marco seems like a person who might like ZZ Top.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have some questions about how they got caught by the dudes.
Which dudes? They get caught a lot in this book.
They flew in by the birds of prey into Zone 91 the first time. And then they landed behind a rock, and they were there for all of 2 minutes before some human dudes just caught them. How the hell
with guns? They like cocked guns in their faces.
How the hell did those guys get there? Like in the time between when they landed and like 2 minutes later, when they were birds and they could have seen them coming from miles and miles away, and it's just flat, open grassland.
Well,
They're
to be
camouflage.
fair, they didn't see the sign that said "Do not enter past this area." So
Wouldn't they have seen the dudes?
The dudes are in camouflage. Be natural.
You're telling me hawks can't see camouflage?
No, they're invisible.
Oh, all right. And then Captain Torelli is like, there's just no possible way that any of you could have gotten in here without any shoes, even though you're here right in front of me. It's just totally impossible.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know if I'd say it's physically impossible. Sure, it'd be hard, but I mean, I'd be more worried about how they got in there without you seeing them before, not the shoes thing. That seems really weird.
Yeah.
Considering that, like, as a second they appeared there, these guys caught them. Wouldn't they be like, oh my god, how did you get this far in before we noticed you? But no, they're like, oh, how did you walk in without any shoes?
Yeah. Also, he's really stupid.
Then he just leaves,
So it made me so mad how stupid Captain Torelli is.
and he just leaves them in a room by themselves.
I
These mysterious kids who materialize out of nowhere with no shoes.
I like how
I
they
mean, I
write
don't think
down.
he cares that much about a couple of kids. He just wants to make sure they're safe, mostly, and they don't.
He
get
just
hurt.
cares about them so
No,
much.
he's yelling at them.
Well, yeah, of course. He's a very shouty guy.
I was really annoyed when Marco was like, "Hey, where do you keep the aliens?" And he kept just like antagonizing him. But then later he was like, "Oh, I did that on purpose," so he would think that we're crazy. And
Yeah, of course.
I liked Marco at that point.
so that's
I was
pretty
like, I think Marco just made that up to save his ass.
maybe
Yeah.
No, I think
But it
that's what
works
he
either
did.
way.
But also, this captain's like, he's dumb because they write down obviously fake numbers, but he just assumes the names they wrote down are true. Because later in the book, he's like, Cindy Crawford, you think I forgot your name? I'm gonna arrest you. And I don't know.
I mean, he's like Visser Three.
He's like Visser Three. And I like when he left the room for a second and they moved cockroaches, and then hear him say, "Pizza Hut, eh? I'll show the little monsters some Pizza Hut," because one of them wrote down the Pizza Hut number. And
What does that even mean?
I'm gonna show you some Pizza Hut.
That doesn't mean anything.
I believe we've got some Pizza Hut in the fridge left over from last night. I'll show them some of that.
I love when he's just chasing them around the park, going like, "You kids are gonna do time for this. I'm gonna arrest you." He's just
What an idiot.
They didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah,
Well,
they
'cause
did. They broke into
trespassed, but
government property.
he
That's
can't throw
definitely
them
wrong.
in jail for trespassing. Like they're kids.
And his idea of how to catch them is like once they jump out of the ride into the water at this amusement park, he jumps out too. Like he's gonna like just grab all of them with his arms and then swim back to the shore with all of them in his arms.
And I want this guy to be in every book.
Isn't jumping out of roller coasters like really, really dangerous? Aren't there like
Well, yeah,
gears and junk?
they almost got hit by a log car.
But that
It
really
says
scared.
that.
I was like, they're gonna get their knees grinded on a piece of machinery.
Yeah, they're gonna have their legs eaten.
Oh, that seems like a horrible idea. There's probably like all kinds of cables and stuff and like sharp things under the water that you don't know about.
Given what
No,
this,
but they're just
I mean,
fine.
it does note that Cassie scooted on her butt down 50 feet of the waterfall thing. I'm very surprised. Given what this book is, I'm surprised it didn't go like, and my, the seat of my pants was totally ripped off and everyone could see my butt.
That'd be funny. Well, she could just morph into some. She could just morph clothes. I don't know.
I don't think
okay.
she morphed to repair her clothes.
Some morphing lore that I'm slightly confused about, but I guess it's fine because it's a confusing
Yeah,
scenario.
they can morph horse poop into their bodies.
No, so I think near the beginning of the book they say, yes, Tobias is in morph, so he can use thought speak as a red-tailed hawk. But then later it says, see, you have to be in your original form if you're going to acquire a new morph. So red-tailed hawk is now Tobias's true body. So is the red-tailed hawk a morph or is it not a morph?
I think any kind of like morphing lore associated with Tobias doesn't count because the Elemist could have just done whatever he wants. And
Yeah, that's
changed
what I
the
was
rules
thinking.
for that.
of.
Yeah, okay. I didn't think about that at all, but you're right.
My next note is just Megabutt. My butt grew huge. I had Megabutt.
I wrote that down too.
Yeah, so did I. I did not like that quote.
I thought it was really dumb. I wouldn't write it.
I kind of like Cassie's narration.
What if instead of Megamorphs it was Megabutt?
That's the name of this episode. Maybe not actually.
Megabutt 1.
X definitely shouldn't have come to the racetrack at all. He was just there to make things harder for everybody.
But then the funniest scene of the book wouldn't happen.
Is that the funny scene in the book?
Well, and then Cassie gets in the race. I wonder if Applegate. I don't even.
Yeah, Cassie getting in the race was kind of weird. Like, why did that happen? She just like accidentally. She was worried about getting caught, so she quick morphed a horse so no one noticed her, and then she gets shoved in the race area and she wins the race.
Hey, wait, why was Cassie even there? Because she already has a horse morph.
Because I don't know. Wait, no, she wanted to be the same. They had to be the same breed of horse as the other horses because all the horses at the gardens are like mixed breed or something like that. I don't know.
What?
I
No,
thought the
what?
whole point.
No.
I thought they were all freaking out because race horses are better bred than wild horses, and they're like, no, we look too sleek and shiny and muscular. We could never
Yeah.
pass as wild horses. We got to make ourselves dirty and gross.
Yeah, exactly. No, the problem was that they only have one horse at Cassie's barn, so they needed to have like different horse DNAs to acquire. Which is why Axe totally didn't need to be there.
X could have acquired Cassie's horse, and then the
Yeah.
rest of them could have acquired race horses.
They just roll around in the dirt to seem like weird horses.
And then this book turns into like a weird kind of Airbud like movie where like Cassie's a talking horse and she's got a jockey who's like, "Don't fade on me now, talking horse," and she's like, "Hang on, Mr. Jockey, we're gonna win this race." And then she's like gives him a lesson about how the point is not to win, the point is just to run. And then the jockey's life is changed forever, and that man went on to do great things.
Yeah, I totally forgot that she talked to the jockey. Thanks for bringing that up.
Is this the third time that they've talked to a random civilian?
No, it happens all the time.
That does it.
Rachel talks to that elephant guy.
Yeah, so that's one.
To that one dude who was
That's
in the.
two.
This is not the first time.
No, the third.
No, he said the third time.
Oh, I thought he said first.
I like how the horse is like, "Hey, calm down," or the guy's like, "Hey, calm down, horse," and she's like, "Oh, how would you feel if you were in here?" And then she
And the
starts
dice
talking
doesn't
to
crush.
him.
She just thinks, well, I guess this is my lucky horse that talks to me. Which is probably what I would
So
think if I was in his
stupid.
position. No, that's what I would think if I was in his position.
It's dumb that she talked in the first place. What's the point of having her talk to the jockey?
There is no point.
Exactly. So why write it in there?
Because it's fun and it's semi-realistic.
So this is another Cassie is stupid moment where Cassie just loses all control. for no
It kind of
reason.
is, but at the same time, I mean, Applegate wrote a book where animals can telepathically communicate with humans. She's got to use it sometimes, and here it fit, so she did.
What? She could use it all the time. Oh, I don't see why it fits better here than anywhere else.
Usually they're doing like stealth missions, but in this point, like usually they're trying to blend in and be like just trying to be natural. But this she was like
That's my
like,
name.
in like a public thing. I don't know.
And it was already really loud.
They tend to only ever like talk to humans when they're like they are morphed as an animal that the person owns in some way, like the elephant guy and this horse. The exception being
That's
Tobias
true.
when the guy was running from the Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait. Since the jockey didn't react like, "Oh, Andalite," because apparently like Yeerks just can't help themselves but scream Andalite as soon as they see an Andalite. Shouldn't Cassie have then like brought him in, made him an Animorph, and been like, "Okay, dude, you're not a controller. Good, we know. Okay, you're an Animorph now."
No. Then he could tell off the secret.
As they can get.
No. The whole point is that if one of them gets caught, Visser Three is going to torture them until they give off the rest of them. And if some random Joe Schmo on the street isn't as strong as these 6 kids and can't morph, he's going to get caught and killed.
They could bring him back and just have him do like, I don't know. They could just bring him back and have him punch people.
So an ally?
Yeah, an ally.
I don't think he wants to leave his life of horse racing.
That reminds me. At one point in the book, Axe says, "I don't believe Yeerks do anything for fun." I was like, "Come on, Axe."
Rip. Come on.
Visser Three loves eating people.
All this Yeerk
Yeah.
hate.
Visser 3 has so much fun.
Man, like near the beginning, Batter said that like Andalites are like anti-Yeerk, aren't like uncalled for with how anti-Yeerk they are, and I was like, no, the Yeerks are evil. But now I'm like, yeah, they're definitely anti-Yeerk for no reason.
I mean, I wouldn't say for no reason. But
Well, okay, but a lot of it's uncalled for.
yeah.
Like they treat them unfairly.
Hey, Batter, did you say the sentence that you said summarized the whole book?
I couldn't find it.
Okay.
I'm glad that you remembered, though. I guess I'll keep looking for it.
Do you guys want to talk about the carnival scene or what's up?
I want to talk about Sergeant, get these horses out of my facility now.
hope I'm
How
allergic.
the horses sneak into the most secure place on Earth?
Because they're horses, man. Horses are overpowered.
Their whole
Because
plan.
they're horses. What are they gonna do? Come on, these guys don't know about controllers
go
or
to all
Animorphs.
They go to all this trouble to morph horses when just so they can tag along with the Yeerks. Visser 3 wants to kill them anyway. Why is Visser 3 even here? Why is Visser 3 in this book at all? Anyway, that
Because
is
he wants to know what the Andalite toilet is.
anyway. Yeah, wait. If Visser 3 got to look at this, wouldn't he know it's an Andalite toilet?
Yes, he would.
Why doesn't he go in? Why doesn't he morph a horse and go in there with them?
That's true. Why are they doing all this crazy stuff? Why can't he just morph a horse for Pete's
Because
sake?
he needs people to do his dirty work.
Why
Yeah,
can't he
people
morph
don't
a
get shot by a
human?
government.
Why can't he morph a human and walk in there as a human? Like
That's what they were trying to do. They went to the carnival so they could get Area 91 controllers. And
Why'd they do that before?
Visser 3 pointed that out. He was like, well, let's just do Plan B. It was the better plan anyway.
Why did they do Plan A then?
I don't know. It was really stupid.
The Animorphs plan was stupid too, because why did they went to all this trouble so all 6 of them could be horses at the same time and just hope no controllers would notice? When, like, why didn't they just morph flies and fly around horses? There are flies all over horses all the time. They would have not been suspicious at all. But no, they just had to hope the controllers didn't notice 6 extra horses tagging along, which is the exact number of horses as there are Andalite bandits.
I
Yeah.
didn't even notice that, man. I didn't think about it.
This speaking of Visser 3, this also reveals it's something about Visser 3. After the people come back and say, "Hey, we couldn't find that we found that thing, we don't know what it is." Then he kills a guy and he says, "Oh, now we've lost poor Gillet 926," and he like acts like it's someone else's fault.
This guy is a psychopath.
Yeah, I think Visser 3 is delusional, which I think the Andalite that he's investing kind of was a little bit too, or at least unstable.
Does Visser 3 seriously not have anything better to do than this project?
Well, he thinks this is important.
Yeah, the reason they're sneaking into Zone 91 is because the Yeerks want to make sure that the humans don't have any technology that will alert the public that aliens exist, because then people will find out the
They've
secret
had this
exists
for
and stuff.
50. They've had this for over 50 years, and it hasn't been a problem.
Yeah.
You'd think the Yeerks would have a bigger priorities than this.
No, my thought is maybe he's invading a planet, and he knows where the most well-kept alien technology on the entire planet is. So he thinks maybe this is something I can use. It's definitely worth investigating. So he does. But he doesn't dedicate any controllers to that area, because if he finds out that it's useless, then he just has a bunch of scientist controllers just sitting in a base for the rest of their lives that aren't going to be useful to him at all. So that would be a waste.
I think having a bunch of scientist controllers just stationed at like in government positions is useful anyway.
Okay, yeah.
They could be promoted.
Yeah, they could get in contact with like government officials.
Yeah, I guess Yeerks are pretty good at getting promotions.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think this book has the worst excuse for having Visser 3 himself in it.
I like it. I like that they see like behind the scenes, like I guess we've seen that before. I don't know. It's
Man, remember that
stupid.
book with the
Visser
cyborgs?
3 doesn't do anything in this book that he hasn't done already.
No, he
Behind the scenes, Visser 3. We've seen him kill people before. That's not
no,
new.
but this time he's like, man, that poor guy died. So we see another side of him where he's insane.
Yeah, that was totally worth having him in this book for.
Yeah. You guys act like there's like you guys are like if like one good thing happens in your book in a book you something stir you're like, oh, that justifies every other bad thing that made no sense about this scene.
What? There's not much that's bad and makes no sense in this book.
Okay, this book made a lot more sense than the reaction. Because in the reaction, it's like, why are they doing that? Why is this happening? But this book was just really dumb.
This book was just like the universe is dumb. I hate the universe. Instead of Rachel's an idiot, I hate Rachel.
Yeah.
Cassie states that if it were 100 horses versus 2 Hork-Bajir, the horses would have lost. And I said, no.
Horses are pretty big. Like,
Horses are huge.
Yeah.
Horses are huge, and they would 100 horses versus 2 Hork-Bajir. Are you saying does that mean?
Well, to be fair, horses are really gentle. They don't like fighting.
No, if you got them in a stampede, like if you played a really loud noise and got them all riled up, and they just like decided to run, they would just trample them.
Do you guys want to talk about the carnival now?
I thought the part where Cassie kicks the Hork-Bajir was kind of dumb too. Like, why was that there? All they do is run away.
Oh, after she poops?
Yeah.
Man, I can't believe we were using Cassie pooping as like a landmark of this book as to determine what's after another thing.
I mean, Capelgate decided to make it important.
I
Yeah.
don't think it's important. It's just a thing that happens. You can't just have every single thing be important.
I mean, it's unique. What do you mean? It's a landmark. It's unique. There are like 3 different parts where they get caught or Visser Three shows up, but Cassie poops. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So the next part of this book is just like the stakes are so much lower.
Wait, were we gonna talk about kicking the hook with you, or is there anything to say about that?
No, I just thought it was dumb.
Okay.
It just so happens that Cassie's convinced just from seeing a sign-up sheet that all the guys are gonna go to the gardens, and that's when the Yeerks are gonna get them, and it has to be at the gardens and definitely not at any point on their way or anything. Like, I don't know, couldn't you just get like the controllers? Wouldn't a better idea be to get the controllers in charge of the bus that's taking them there? But whatever.
Well, Visser Three, it says, is the gardens really the best place for Visser Three to get controllers? No, but Visser Three is impatient. Like that's how they.
That's so stupid.
That's
And then
how
Cassie's
they
like, "Oh
explain
yeah,
it.
that's totally right. That's I'm 100% sure of that."
And they say that before they even see him there.
Yeah, they're just like, "Oh, I'm 100% certain. Let's show up at exactly the time that it says they'll be there, and not any earlier to see out what the Yeerks are doing."
And then the whole time at the carnival, everyone's like, "Oh, those are nice costumes and animatronics."
I hate that trope.
Yeah.
I don't see it as a trope. To me, that's just what I would do.
I mean, yeah, I mean, but there's one part of the book where it's like, even with Cassie was talking about how they want, they want people to know there's aliens, so people will like fight against, so humans will fight against the Yeerks, but no one will believe them at this point. And she said, yeah, like so if the government came out and said yes, there's an alien invasion, everyone would believe them. But she said, yeah, I could like go on TV and morph, and people would just assume that it's some weird thing, like no one would
Well, yeah, if
believe
it's on TV, but if
real.
there's a bunch of aliens like actually running around right in front of you.
Yeah, but like morphing. I thought I was like, yeah, if I saw someone morphing into something, I just think it's
No, if somebody morphed on TV, I would assume that it was a doctor. I'd assume that it was edited.
I think if I saw it in person, I'd assume it's like smoke and mirrors or something.
Smoke and mirrors.
I just think that's realistically how like a majority of people will respond.
No, because there's a certain point where it's just too real,
There's a reason that the Animorphs in the first book didn't, when Elfangor was telling them all that stuff, they were just like, whatever, that's just probably fake, and then they walked away.
Well, I've seen like in person someone like magicians that cut their hands off, and then like, oh, not really, my hand's fine. See,
Because
and
they
it
tell
looked
you they're
real.
magicians.
Well, yeah, but if you see someone doing something crazy, then okay, whatever, they're a trickster.
Especially if it's something that, based on what you know about how the world works, is impossible, like someone morphing from one species to another, that doesn't exist in real life. You would assume
Yeah, when something impossible happens, you assume it's not happening.
I don't want to have this conversation again. We already had it, and I didn't like it because you guys are dumb.
Sergeant, get these horses out of my facility now! Colonel bellowed. Yes, sir, the sergeant yelled. Horses, about face! It must have surprised the poor sergeant when, amazingly, we all complied. Animorphs and Yeerks returned and walked away.
Doesn't some guy say, "Help, I'm allergic to horses"?
He does say
That's
that
funny.
allergic to horses. How is that funny?
It's like a freaking like, ow my leg, SpongeBob line.
Yeah, that's not funny.
Yeah.
You don't burst in laughter every time the guy says "ow my leg" on SpongeBob.
No, but when he says horses about face, I do.
What? I never said horses about face wasn't funny. I just
I
thought
know
that
you do.
I'm allergic to horses was also funny.
Yeah, I know.
So they get out. So can we talk about the carnival time?
Oh, this.
You're just so bad on talking about
It's
that
so
carnival.
much before the carnival still.
What?
Okay.
For the record, it's the Gardens, which is like half zoo, half amusement
It's a
park.
carnival.
Yeah, but like Cassie's mom works there or something. Is that what's up?
Yes, Cassie's mom works there. They mention this every book.
Well, I remember I mentioned that she owns it, and everyone was like, "No, she doesn't own it, stupid." So I'm,
She
I'm
works
not
there.
sure.
She doesn't own it. She just works there. That's what it is.
And her dad owns the veterinarian thing.
Yes, Wildlife Rehabilitation Center.
Those are two different things.
Two different things.
Okay.
Also, Cassie doesn't live at the gardens. In case you were confused about that.
Does she live at the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center? It's a serious question.
Yeah, isn't that her barn? Like, where they
Yes,
live?
it's her barn. She lives near it. She doesn't live inside it, but she lives. It's at her house.
no, but like I assume the house is like the center where they do the paperwork.
Anyway, next notes about the book.
So they get on the log ride, and of course, Captain Torelli from earlier is right behind them, and he turns into a total Scooby-Doo villain.
He does. This is why the book
This
is
whole
fun.
chase scene was a Scooby-Doo chase scene.
Yeah, I love Scooby-Doo chase scenes.
They run in between. They just run between the rides.
Yeah, the rest of the book is literally just they get chased by Captain Trelly, and Visser Three is like also like they're chasing Visser Three, and it's just the whole like end of the book.
I thought it was very poorly written. Like at the end of this
Yeah.
chapter, I said this reads like an awful fanfic. Like I highlighted the last part, it just all started to run together. It's like Jake squeegeed the water out of his hair. Okay, so it's not the log ride. No Yeerk's there. House of Horrors, definitely the House of Horrors. We ran for the House of Horrors, but as we ran, there came the sound of a not too distant voice crying, "Police! Security! Police!" So we ran faster. Like, what? Okay.
Oh, so by the way, so didn't it say that the Zone 91 people like rented out the amusement park for the night? So like it
Yeah.
was only them there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And their families.
Yeah, I did notice a really kind of funny bad piece of writing where Captain Torelli, like, he almost has them right as they're like getting out of the log ride, but then it just says, then he slipped and his head went under the water, and I was out of there.
He could be dead.
He just slipped.
Yeah.
He almost got them, but then he slipped, and then they were gone.
Yeah.
For some reason, the remaining Animorphs decide they need to go to the House of Horrors ride, even though they already sent Axe and Rachel and Marco there, and those three probably have a better plan put together at this point than they did, and they're just like, oh, let's just go in there and fuck it up for them, and they do.
Oh, the reason they
Yeah.
go to the log ride in the House of Horrors is because those are the two rides that are dark. So
They're going from ride to ride because they go there and then you're saying, now where would a Yeerk go to infest people? I know, it should be somewhere where they're alone and no one would be able to see them for a while. So my first thought, based on the theme of the book, is I know the Yeerks are going to go to the bathroom where people poop, and when people poop, they're going to crawl in their brains. But that didn't happen.
In the stalls.
I'm glad
That would make
didn't
more sense than
happen.
being on a dangerous ride where people are constantly moving. Like, how fast would you have to be?
Yeah, poop Yeerk should be scary to me.
Couldn't they have been ride attendants? Couldn't they have just pretended that, like, oh, you guys, you can't go on the ride by yourselves, you need an attendant with you? I don't know. Couldn't the Yeerks have set up something where, like, they sent human controllers there, and then they were like, oh, I'm gonna be a tour guide, and I'm gonna tell you about the ride's significance to science or whatever, and then...
Yes, they could have.
Yeah, I like that Visser 3 was just like unmorphed in the House of Horrors ride.
With
just, like,
6
chilling.
Hork-Bajir.
Yeah, because it's scary. It's the House of Horrors.
Andalite and a Hork-Bajir all just chilling inside the ride.
And the army guys say, wow, those spiky guys look cool.
They have a list of specific people they want to infest. So they're not like so presumably they were just sitting there waiting for specific people to come by. So plenty of people must have come by before, including like little kids and stuff who just saw them and then must have come out. And then like everyone is like, oh, those spiky guys are really cool. And I guess they're just hoping that nobody said, oh man, all those spiky guys are really cool. And then somebody who works there at the garden's like, what? That's not there.
They park their spaceships on the alien ride.
And none of the people who work at the gardens every single day noticed that.
There's a new edition.
So then Visser 3 cuts Daffy Duck's head off, and this book doesn't even have the balls to like actually cut off the little girl's head who's in the costume.
Yeah, because it's funny.
Are you surprised by that?
I would have liked this book to have some hardcore like blood in it.
I like how you just brought up that he cuts off Daffy Duck's head without like explaining who Daffy Duck is.
I mean,
It's a Daffy Duck mascot.
It's that kind of book. You don't need to. I don't need to explain it.
I like Visser 3's. I like the reaction where Cassie's like, "No!" as soon as the head comes off, and then the girl sticks her head up and is like, "Hey, what's the matter with you?" And Visser 3 screams because he's like disgusted by the idea of a creature who has a head inside their head.
I feel like he's come across way weirder things in his space travels, but okay.
Hey, he's under a lot of stress today. He just had to sit still and not talk for like several minutes. inside of a House of Horrors ride for no reason. Can you imagine how hard it would be for Visser 3 to just sit still and not talk?
Yeah, he loves talking to everyone.
And not scream to everybody. He probably did. When there were people going by in the House of Horrors, he probably did like scream to them like scary things.
Yeah, he was role playing.
Yeah.
It's like, welcome to the House of Horrors. Ooh.
This makes me want like Visser Three to role play like how King Koopa does in every Mario Brothers episode. Like every episode, he's like, "Hey, I'm freaking Cowboy Koopa." It'd be fun if Visser Three did that.
That would be really fun. I would like that.
See, and that's why I like this book. It reminds me of stuff like that, which is silly for no reason.
This is like, man.
One that I noted, I thought was noteworthy, was the only reason that the what's his name, Captain
Torelli.
the only reason he knows them is because he hears Mirko's voice and he recognizes it. So that means Mirko's voice is at least distinct in some way enough for him to recognize Mirko, but not the rest of them. I mean, I know that Mirko talked the most and he was the most memorable stuff that he said, but his voice is at least noteworthy.
I like that he hears this kid talking on a roller coaster ride, and he's like, "I need to arrest him now," and he just chases them through the whole park.
I know. Couldn't he wait until they got off the ride, and couldn't he have like gotten back up or something?
No question. When they jumped off the ride, that was in the dark, right?
Yeah.
So why didn't they morph into birds and fly away instead of jumping into the roller coaster, which is probably the most dangerous thing could them doing, like more dangerous than
Yeah.
jumping off of it?
Because they're really stupid in this book.
They are.
That's a good answer, Mustard.
Everyone's really stupid in this book, and that's why I don't hate it as much as the reaction, because it's not. I don't have to watch Rachel, who's the only stupid one, ruining everybody else's plans.
And that book just made us hate Rachel. Now I don't want to hate Rachel, you know?
Yeah. I'm alright with hating Cassie, though.
Cassie's stupidity wasn't like ruining everyone's plans, though.
Well, that's the thing, is Cassie did a bunch of stuff and there's no consequences, and that was more infuriating to me.
Yeah, like Cassie got like the time wrong, and it just nothing bad happened because of it.
It was
Like,
just
didn't
it was just
matter.
another one of those ways that Campbellgate added some quote tension to the book in the same way that Cassie got ran over by a tank, and then that didn't matter.
Yeah, and they got shot by Dracon beams in the first scene, and that didn't matter.
It's full of this book is just full of like fake outs.
There's a whole thing at the beginning where everyone was like, "Wait, guys, are you sure that it was a Yeerk? Maybe it was just like normal horses. Like, maybe it was dark. Maybe you just thought you saw a Yeerk crawl out of it, but it was just a normal old slug."
Yeah, I forgot about that. Like nobody believes them.
And then when they see the horse
Why would
pooping, they're
Yeerks
like, "Oh
invest
yeah."
horses? That's
No, they believe. I think it's actually a very reasonable reaction from them, because why the hell would Yeerks infest horses? And this book doesn't even really give a good answer. It's just like because they're stupid.
I think it's a bias who even says, now it's not that I don't believe you, but I just don't know why they would do that.
No, my first thought when they said that is like, "Oh, maybe these are like renegade Yeerks, and like they had to like call out someone's brain, and they like sneak into these horses to like get away from Visser Three or something." I thought that
I would have
been...
liked that explanation a lot more.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Like
but
at the
no.
beginning of this book, I was like, "Ooh, interesting! Like Yeerk horses. Like, what are they gonna do with this?" And I was like hooked actually.
They're gonna poop.
But then it just didn't go in a way that I expected, or didn't go in a way that I liked.
And that's when I dumped a bucket of water on Marco's head, and we all went home.
What an ending of this
Worst
book.
ending ever.
What I wrote every book should end this way.
I like how they didn't go home. They were still in the park, and it's like, yeah, we all went home. That's just how the book ends. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, it doesn't even end with Marco and Jake
That was-
skateboarding.
I guess it was like that was fan fiction. That was
Like, and we all went home. That is the laziest ending I've ever seen.
laziest. She didn't even separate the bucket of water sentence and the went home sentence. She couldn't even do that. They're just they're part of the same sentence.
This is like one page, like after like the climax of the book, and it's just like it wraps up so fast.
And I'm mad because Campbellgate usually has pretty strong endings.
Visser 3 just flies away in a spaceship, and like that's it. And then Marco dumps. Oh, the reason he gets a bucket of water dumped on his head is because he's like, "Listen, guys, we should like use this horse stuff to our advantage and like make a bunch of money off betting on horses because we can morph into them." And then
which is very reasonable.
Brings that up early in the book, and they're like, "No, Marco, that's dumb. We have more important things
It
to
would
do."
be fun if they actually did stuff like that.
I mean, it would give them an advantage.
You guys keep talking about how like, oh well, see, if I saw somebody morph in real life, then I would just think it was a trick. So why don't they just morph all the time then, huh? Why do they have to keep it a secret?
Because then the Yeerks will know what they are, you know, because no one else will believe them, but the Yeerks will, and they'll get them killed.
Plus, they don't want to draw attention to themselves.
No, the Yeerks will just think it's an illusion. Yeerk, she'll just be like, that's fake.
But then when Axe turns into well, I guess they did have controllers following them at that point. Man, this makes me mad though. Like they could just use they could just pretend to be magicians.
Oh
Yeah, they
that,
could.
that'd be a fun book where they just like go on the country and like be magicians
Busking.
or whatever.
Hey, why don't they just go somewhere in the US that's not like their hometown? Because I'm pretty sure there's no Yeerks anywhere else in the world right
Because
now.
they have to save the world.
They have to stop the spread. They don't have enough people to surround the town.
Another like silly punchline of this book was just like the captain was he was reported saying, "It's those dang kids, Cindy Crawford and her friends. They stopped me." And everyone just like, "Oh yeah, he was drunk or something. I don't know." So like that's not an
I
issue.
was very surprised that they made a reference to alcoholism. Not really alcoholism, but like just being drunk.
Well, it was a party, to be fair. You know, like they were at an amusement park. They were just relaxing.
No, I'm just surprised that Applegate decided that it's appropriate to just mention.
Applegate has no boundaries with what's appropriate for kids.
You're absolutely right.
This book didn't have any gore in it. Usually they have like a lot of like especially
Suddenly,
in the last,
Yeerk invasion of the gardens was over.
Everyone
Just
was like, "Hey,
why?
Applegate, you're kind of being a bit too gory and like serious with the last book. Just like put some poop in there, okay?" Kids
put
like
some
that.
poop in there and have it end with an amusement park ride instead.
You're scaring the kids too much.
Remember the end? Remember the great ending of book 6? But I knew the answer. See, a part of my brother was in my own mind now, along with echoes of a long dead Hork-Bajir and a simple kid. And yes, even a bit of a Yeerk with dreams of glory. Marco smiled his sardonic smile. And is it true? Will we win? This is a very complicated planet, Marco. That's what I hear anyway, and it's a very strange universe. Anything could happen. And that's when I dumped a bucket of water on Marco's head and we all went home.
Yeah, that's a good end.
It's a great ending.
It just reminds me though of just how great some of Applegate's other endings are, and then I dumped a bucket of water on Marco's head.
Yeah, I just realized. So the title of this book, The Unknown, is that just referring to the Andalite toilet?
Yeah.
I think it is, yeah.
Wow,
This book should have been called The Toilet.
the Andalite's toilet.
No, the book should be called The Horse Poop.
Yeah.
Is there a word for toilet, but it's kind of obscure and it could also mean like
The Andalite commode.
Don't they say it's a fancy Andalite porta john at one point?
Yeah, they do.
The Andalite lavatory.
Is there like a fancy word for toilet, but like it also like if there's a word for toilet that could also mean like mystery or something, that would be good.
The Andalites poop and fart and pee, and it's funny. That's the name of this book.
Okay.
Anyway, every time Visser 3 comes up, it's like, okay, book 10, The Android, did not have Visser 3 in it. And I thought, okay, so I guess now she's broken the pattern of having to have Visser 3 in every book for no reason. I guess good, finally. And then every book after that, there's still Visser 3 in it. So one time she's proven to us that she's capable of writing a book without throwing Visser 3 in at the end, but she just never does it.
I think the Elements book didn't really have Visser 3 in it, did it? At least not as important as, I don't know.
Well, he was still in it. Yeah, I think the Android was the only time he didn't show up at some point.
Huh.
When she passed by where Marco was sitting, Marco made a phony bow, like he was bowing before some idol. Rachel laughed and shook her head. And then she was right there in front of me. I saw her eyes sweep over me, indifferent, and then looked past me toward the door. She stopped walking. She turned to me. Her eyes were wide. "Hi, Rachel," I said with a human voice. And that's when I dumped a bucket of water on Marco's head and we all went home.
It took me, I didn't realize what you were reading until you read the last sentence.
Really? I recognized it like at the beginning.
Wait, what is that from?
It's from the last book, the book we just read.
It's Tobias.
It's Tobias.
Okay. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
Oh,
I had trouble remembering that because my eyes were just filled with tears when I was trying to read it.
Aww.
Hey, are we done with this book?
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
I have something to say about the series as a whole so far. We're 25% through the series now. I don't know if you know that. So when I was reading this, as soon as I saw the word poop in like chapter 1, I took note of it. And before I read the book, I took every time it says the word poop and like wrote it down. And I was gonna bring this up, being like, "Oh, this is a silly thing to talk about," but this is not nearly as silly as this book in general. So, I have a chart of like how many times each character says poop in the series. So Marco said it 4 times. Jake said it once, but it was when he was quoting Marco. Cassie said it 9 times. Axe said it once when he was asking a question. Rachel said it once, and Tobias specifically refused to say the word poop. He's the only one who's never
See,
said it.
he's the only classy Animorph.
He's the one that quotes Shakespeare and makes chess
Oh my
analogies.
gosh, he does quote Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tobias just won't say poop.
Are you counting narration for this?
Yes, I'm counting narration. Yes.
Okay.
Because Tobias was like, "Oh, Marco threw a Babe Ruth in the pool, and it looked like, you know," and that was
That
in
was
the Megabutt book.
dialogue. That wasn't narration.
Yeah, it was both though.
It wasn't.
No.
I mean, I'm saying I'm counting both. A lot of the poop is from them talking about when they're flies or being flies or whatever. I think this is the only time where they're talking about poop and there was actual like poop present.
Cinnamon. This is the Cinnamon Bunza did not finish this book.
What do you mean?
They got to the part where they revealed it was an Andalite toilet, and then they said, "Okay, we're done," and then they stopped.
Wow.
I think that's reasonable.
So that's why you said like if we don't think we can finish a book, then we don't have to.
I was thinking of this one.
Well, I read this book 3 times, so that.
Wow.
Now, for the record, I wasn't like paying full attention every time. You know, I was doing other stuff, but I just had it playing. You know.
Stir, you don't sound as angry. Well, you didn't sound as angry during this episode as you did in the Scream Chamber.
Huh? Well, yeah, because I streamed. I'm done now.
Oh, okay.
That's just something I said. I said out loud, "No, you're dumb. You're dumb, Cassie. Cassie's dumb in this book." Everyone's dumb in this book, though. Man, why does Cassie have all the bad books? Cassie seems like a good character.
No, she doesn't.
No? Could be.
She had potential.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's a
Yeah.
good concept.
It's a good concept, but it's just never written well. It's just never. It wasn't executed well.
Do you think it's because Applegate is like not a farm girl, so she doesn't know what they're like?
They love poop.
Yep, they love poop. That's what you do when you live on a farm. You like smelly skunks and you like stinky poop. That's what farm girls do.
Okay, we signing off now.
No, wait. I just have to say. I don't remember what that quote was. I wasn't really looking that hard for it because I just don't care about this book anymore. Rachel says something like, "Oh, that was a stupid waste of time," and I was like, "Yeah, that seems like a good summary of this book." And then the other thing was that I was just really happy because in chapter 3 it mentions MST3K, Mr. Science Theater 3000.
Yeah, I got there and I thought this book would be cool.
Yeah, if for the first 3 chapters I was like, maybe this book was gonna be cool. Maybe this is gonna be the first good Cassie book.
I found the quote. I think.
Oh yeah,
Well, that was stupid from start to finish.
there we go. That is it. Where is that?
It's page 53.
What chapter? Oh, 53. No wonder. I thought it was closer to the beginning. Like I thought it was after they did the Dracon beam part.
Joke time. I mean, I don't have anything else to say about it.
Sign off.
Oh yeah, I'm Be Natural.
I'm better.
Oh, I'm third. Hang on, excuse me.
No, you're not.
Your thread.
I'm Mustard.
I'm Sir. We are the Animorphs Book Club podcast staff.
We always say the Animorphs Book Club podcast.
Yeah, this is
It's an Animorphs Book Club podcast.
because there are several.
We're just one of them, guys. We're not the.
Yeah.
I don't think we'd say we're the Animorphs Book Club.
No.
Oh, what a good
Yeah.
joke for this book.
Okay, what is it? Is it about poop of horses?
What contests do skunks always win?
Stink
Smelling contest.
The smelling bee?
pooping.
Oh, smelling bee.
Hold on, what kind of contests are there? There's like racing contests. There's
farting contests. There's pooping contests.
Stop! You're just making me laugh for no reason. Everyone didn't know how immature I am.
Skunks are really good at horse racing, you guys.
Yeah, smelling bee.
Smelling bees.
Is that a
Yeah.
competition?
Skunks are good at smelling bees.
It's what.
What do bees smell like?
That was the good one. It was what contest?
Oh, contest. Okay.
Okay.
I think spelling bees is a weird like teachers make kids stand up and spell than as an actual contest.
No, yeah, spelling bees were a big thing at my elementary school. Like they had all the kids assemble in the gym and
I
like
mean, our spelling bee was a big deal, but the thing was only like 3 kids from each grade actually cared about it.
yeah, that was a
Myself
big thing. Most of the
included.
kids would just get out in after the first round,
Yeah.
so that they wouldn't have to do it.
Yeah.
I was
Okay.
always really good at the spelling bee.
Yeah, I one time I almost won one. Out of
I won all of them.
You won all of them?
Yes, I got first place in every spelling bee.
Wow.
Yeah, but how were you in the smelling bees?
See, now there's a question.
No, there's one time I got out because the word was I think it was horseback, and I tried to say H, but I had like phlegm in my throat, so it came out as ace. And then I
Ace isn't a letter.
I know, and then but I was trying to say H, but then I made a mistake by I repeated myself without saying, "Can I start over?" Which they let you do, you know.
Right.
So I said ace, HORSEBACK. And I
You
said,
were just
That
calling the
sucks.
teacher
That's
Ace. You're
rough,
like,
dude.
hey Ace, here's how you spell it.
So yeah, that lost me one. But
I almost won a spelling bee once.
like in our grade, they always got to the point where like they'd like, okay, it's 3:00, we gotta end this. Tomorrow we will have you come to school like an hour early and finish this off, and then they just go in
Oh,
the
that's rough,
dictionary
dude.
and they'd Google like hardest words to spell and have them try to do those,
Oh,
and like these
that's
15-letter scientific words.
that sucks.
Well, that's what it took to win.
Wow. So apparently your spelling bees were more competitive than mine.
I mean, just among like 3 people, but yeah.
Yeah. That would be really long and boring for everyone else involved.
Oh yeah. For everyone else, it's
Usually
just
it only
okay,
took
here we
like a few
go.
minutes for the
Whoa,
last few
really?
people. Yeah.
Everyone is like, okay, here we go again. Watch these 3 people get the same, get words right 20 times in a row until one of them makes a silly mistake. That's what it was every year.
Man, spelling bees must have just sucked for you guys.
I mean, I like them to like spelling bees. At least I did that. I don't know.
I'm
I
gonna
got
stop
so
recording.
bad.
Yeah, we should stop recording, guys.
Yeah, we
Oh,
should.
okay.
Well, that was stupid from start to finish.